When I finally left school, I didn't know what my dreams were. I went to Hawaii. I graduated from San Diego High School in 1976, and I went to Hawaii just to take a break and work on Maui and have some fun. And then my father passed away, and I came home to be with my family and my mother. And that's when my older brother, who was already a crane driver, said, you know, one of you girls in the family could have Dad's job. And I've got 3 sisters, I'm the youngest, and just for fun, we arm wrestled. Well, that's how the story goes. But we arm wrestled, and I won, and I said, you know what, I'll try it for a couple weeks, thinking all along I'm going back to Hawaii. And so here it is 28 years later, and I'm still on the waterfront. Back in those days, there were probably 3 women working on the waterfront. The first woman, she was the groundbreaker. She had to take it to court, and then I think there were about 2 or 3 that they finally hired in. So I came in right after them. And I do remember I was a 20-year-old girl, pretty shy, not, haven't done much with my life. And my brother did escort me to the hiring hall that morning. It was a Saturday morning, probably full of maybe 300, mostly men. And I was so intimidated and scared. But he escorted me through, and my very first job was an auto job, which was driving cars off a ship. And everybody was very friendly, very nice. They knew and respected my father, which was a big asset for me on the waterfront. And then the following Monday, I got to unload bananas, and that was not so good. Banana ships would come in. The entire hold of the ship would be full of, not the stalks of bananas, that was my father's day, but the boxes of 50-pound bananas. So you'd open up the hatch, look down, and you'd have to dig a hole. They'd lower the conveyor belt into the hold of the ship, and then for 8 hours a day, you'd be throwing bananas. So my memory, my very first day of bananas was black and blue, beat up, and going to bed very early. There were some hard days, and there were days I came home crying. It wasn't an easy thing, and it was a struggle. Back in 1979 or 80, that was probably my first year in, they used to have a pageant called the Heart of the Harbor. It was Wilmington, it was the harbor, San Pedro, and it was a beauty pageant, basically. And many people thought, well, geez, you're a longshoreman, and you work on the harbor. Who should not represent the harbor? So after a little coaxing, I got talked into being in a beauty pageant. And it was basically a really good experience. I didn't win. I was first runner-up, but it was a positive thing. Well, as the years went by, there were more and more women. When they started hiring big groups, there'd be more a percentage of women. So in a way, it was great because I did get to have more women friends and the camaraderie with the women and have somebody else to relate to. Because back when I first started, there weren't even any women bathrooms. I mean, you didn't even think about that, so back then we had to have women's bathrooms, so that was a luxury. My dad, he was never one to say women don't belong on the waterfront. He was very open-minded in that way, and I do believe my dad would have been proud of me.